What is up, people? I've got an exciting day for you today. I'm going up north to see my coach, have an in-person session, which will be really cool. It's meant that I've got a full day of eating sort of on the road right now, chicken and rice in the park. Currently meal number 2, halfway through it, but it's because it's super busy around here. I didn't really want to film anything. But no, yeah, a full day of traveling. Should have a good training session, which I'll try and film some stuff. Probably won't talk too much, but try and film a fair bit, and then yeah, get on with the rest of the day. So I'll probably see you for meal number 3 on the train, which will be pre-workout. Pretty cool. Yes, people. So like I said in that little clip there, I went up to see my coach, which was a pretty cool experience. Got to meet, train with him, have a proper check-in. We could get through some posing, but it was also an opportunity to experience his new gym. So him and Reese are going to open the Physique Club, really cool gym in Loughborough. So if you're in that area, make sure you check them out. But it was a really cool sort of chance to go meet some of the other guys that been coaches, train with some pretty good equipment, and train with some high level lifters, and sort of being a bit more of a bodybuilding atmosphere than I'm probably used to, which was really cool. It was really nice. I trained with Mikey, who is a little bit ahead of me. He's, I think, 9 weeks out when we were in this session, which was pretty mad, and he was still training hard as anything. So that was inspiring to be around and see that even though calories will get lower and it will get tougher, it's all about just persevering and continuing to push yourself as hard as you can. That was awesome. So I appreciate him for bringing some good energy and some good vibes. And then it was also cool to train with Finn, just because he's someone that I admired, and it's the reason why I got him as a coach. And that leads me on nicely to talk about my sort of main point of this video of, should you get a coach? You know, something that I deliberated on for a long time. I wasn't really sure if I really needed a coach. I was scared that I was going to be instructed, as opposed to necessarily be in a relationship where it's sort of give and take, in terms of we're going through the process together, as opposed to how I had sort of perceived coaching as, you're going to do this, I'm going to tell you what to do, and that's final. But I came to Finn because I wanted his guidance, and I wanted his perspectives on training and how I could push myself to the next level, because my training was at a decently high level, but I knew I still had a fair bit to go on the accuracy side of it. But I've always been very loose. I've always just sort of gone off what feels good and really trying to push that way, which is really fun for me. And that's the whole reason why I train, and the reason why I wanted to become a bodybuilder was because it's a good bit of fun. Like, I love training. I love pushing myself. I love sort of the feeling of the pursuit of progression, and seeing changes in the gym and in the mirror. So that's ultimately why I sort of pivoted into becoming a bodybuilder, as opposed to wanting to be a bodybuilder, and that's why I started training. I think that that's the best way of sort of approaching bodybuilding specifically, but sort of anything in life. Like, start doing it because you enjoy doing it, and then hope to build something out of it from there, and hopefully I'm able to build something decent over this prep and come out successful. But what I needed from a coach was someone who was able to sort of just guide me a little bit. So in terms of my food, I was always someone that just based it off proteins and hit my calories, whereas now it's very much based around, okay, these are the macros that we're trying to hit, and I just go and do that. Like, the first point to whether you should get a coach is, can you genuinely take guidance? Like, you employ them to help you and to provide their insight, no matter like how far you agree with it or not. Like, you have to embrace it, otherwise what's the point in paying for it? And fundamentally, that's the most important thing, is are you willing to listen, take the advice on board, and actually act on it? My second point would be, how disciplined are you prior to considering getting a coach? So a coach isn't all of a sudden going to mean that you don't cheat on your diet. Isn't going to mean that all of a sudden you train when you normally would skip. Like, sure, there's an extra accountability aspect to it, but no one's going to force you to act any differently. Like, you're choosing to get a coach, you're choosing to become closer to the person that you want to be, and the coach is sort of the one guiding you towards that. It's not they're there the whole step of the ride with you. And like I said, I was a bit apprehensive because I thought, okay, I'm no longer doing it by myself. It makes me less of a bodybuilder because I have a coach. And lots of people see it as a flex. You know, they go through a prep and say, oh, okay, I did it all by myself. And that's awesome that they can do that. And they feel such confidence in themselves. I knew that I wanted to be a good bodybuilder. I know that I wasn't just competing just to post it on Instagram, or wasn't just competing because I feel like I have something to prove in terms of standing up on stage. Like, I just work pretty hard in the gym. I love this lifestyle of bodybuilding, and that's ultimately why I'm gonna step on stage at the end of it. It's very easy to alter your sort of mindset into thinking, okay, I shouldn't accept help, or I don't need help. I knew I needed help. Like, I still know very little actually about bodybuilding. I know how to train. I get flipping excited about training. When it comes to the actual competing aspects of it, the sort of minute details, I know how to eat clean, but I didn't know exactly what macros to work with. Didn't know how to sort of go through a whole prep. And there's so many resources out there for you to do it yourself that I definitely wouldn't say you have to get a coach. But I knew that I wanted someone in my corner who was just going to help guide me along the process a little bit more. Especially since it's my first prep. I know that some people would sort of say, okay, well, it's probably my least important one in terms of doing well. But I'm quite old to be getting into bodybuilding, I think. I mean, I'm 24 years old, so it feels like the time's sort of ticking away a bit, and I just want to maximize the amount of time I have. I know it's a long-term sport, especially when it comes to the natural side of it, because you're not going to be able to build the same sort of tissue as the enhanced guys. So you have to take your time with it. Yeah, it's all about just sticking through the process, and I felt that in order for me to understand the process best and then have that little bit extra accountability, I would then just step everything up a notch. Something that was really important to me when I first started was, whenever I was sending in anything, whether that was a form clip, posing, I was always thinking, okay, I really have to prove like myself here. Like, it's an opportunity to sort of be impressive. And I was like, everything that I do, I want to show that I'm, one, working as hard as I bloody can, and then two, pushing it to the sort of the absolute brink while being controlled. In terms of, like, it's impressive to move weight, don't get me wrong, but I didn't just want to move weight to move weight. Like, I wanted to show that I was training with the intent to build muscle. It's fun progressing, it's fun just trying to shift as much as you can, and that was a big thing for me. But I needed someone who was going to say, okay, here's how we clean this up a bit. Being receptive to sort of the harsher critiques is tough, and when someone says that, hey, this is starting to look a little bit ugly, and you're thinking, okay, it feels good, what does this guy know? Again, you've hired him for a reason. He's there to make sure that you're progressing in the right direction, that you're not going to injure yourself fundamentally, and you can just sort of focus on enjoying the process. Another thing that was massive for me was, I knew that I'd end up sort of wanting to change a lot of stuff very quickly. As with most people in life, I'm very impatient, so I knew as soon as I got into doing a prep and my weight wasn't coming down as fast as I wanted, or the look wasn't improving as much as I wanted it to, I'd make a load of changes. And I needed someone who'd been through the process, knew what it was going to look like, knew how much I had to push, and then when I had to pull back. Because I can push, I can push. But I knew that there were going to be points where fatigue would be massive and I'd have to try and manage it, and I'm not going to be able to do that myself. Whether that's ego or just the will to win, like either one of those two things is going to be the main reasons why I won't be able to sort of stick to sort of that pulling back period. And we've run into that now. I've got my first deload of a long old prep. Last thing is, can you actually make sort of the relationship work? Are you able to communicate effectively? Can you fill out your sheets, give the correct amount of data, give the right amount of feedback, like when you're feeling good, feeling bad? What can you do better so that your coach can do his job better? And that's something that I really wanted to emphasize when I first started working with Finn. Was, okay, my sheets are always going to be filled out on the day. Check-ins, I'm going to be the first one that you get. Form videos, I'll send them every day. But everything else is just about trying to be as sort of accurate as possible. Even when it comes to little stuff, like I used to not really include my veg when I was logging my food, and that, like, I eat a fair amount of veg, so it's not conducive to effectively tracking everything. And that's something that I picked up just from watching other people on YouTube. I was like, hey, they don't log their veg, I don't have to either. But if I want to be the best bodybuilder I can be, I have to be logging that stuff. There's nothing that I shouldn't be logging, even if it's flipping iceberg lettuce. Like, I'm going to log everything that I can. And that ultimately has led to me just everything going up a notch, whether that's training or the physique I've built. Like, in the last year, I've been incredibly impressed with sort of how I've been able to progress, and how, even though I haven't agreed with everything that Finn has suggested, it's all worked. Like, it credit to him. And I suppose that's the fundamental thing is can you actually trust someone else? Like, can you genuinely trust someone else to guide you through what is going to be a tough process, and what is an incredibly slow process as well? Because everyone wants the quickest results possible. I'm telling you now that those things aren't real. So yeah, don't think I have to rush all that stuff. But coaching is an incredibly useful tool. It's not something that works for everyone. Like, some people won't be able to allow someone else to control things about their diet or about their training. And if you're one of those people, there are so many resources out there. So many like web pages, things like Trained by JP, MBW. Like, there's so many resources to learn. Even it just going on YouTube and listening to people talk about how their preps have gone, or anything like that. Watching people train is massive. I couldn't be a bigger advocate for it. But yeah, there's lots of different approaches. So don't think, okay, Tom got a coach and he said it was great. It works for me. But not all coaching relationships are the same, and not all coaches are the same. So the fact that Finn is so accessible and is so sort of accepting of so much in terms of the amount of information that I provide, and the amount of sort of training and posing feedback, all of this stuff is a credit to him. So yeah, get a good coach. That's the moral of the story. If you're going to get a coach, just get a good coach. But no, I hope you enjoyed some of these training clips. this was some of the best kit I've used. It was a little bit of a different session. When I got there, I just sort of wanted to follow Finn, sort of chase him, as it were, in terms of his performance, which was quite cool, having like that coach client sort of dynamic where it's a little bit competitive, and I love that. It's something that's been missing in my training for a while, is having sort of someone to chase or someone to really bounce off of, as most of my training is just alone. Occasionally I get a spot from Ethan, but it doesn't really compare, so that was pretty cool. Again, it was awesome to train with people who brought proper intensity. I've tried to show a couple of clips of Mikey and Finn just like going at it, which was awesome. I think I talked about everything I wanted in terms of coaching. I mean, the main points are, you have to be accepting of what the coach is guiding you through. You have to be open about what you're experiencing, not necessarily just from like a coaching experience, but just in sort of training, general life, and that comes in with each week giving detailed feedback. Be accepting of critique, and then build a relationship and build some trust between the two of you. I sort of highlighted that you have to learn to trust your coach, but on the same end, the coach has to learn to trust you. And that comes in with your weekly check-ins, you following diet plans, seeing the scale weight come down or come up depending on what phase you're in, seeing training clips, and you actually going beyond to show that you're working on the feedback that he's given you, or she, and then just being really patient. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, me and Finn have been working together for a year now. When I first got in, I was like, I want to compete soon, and this was February last year. I reached out to Finn, maybe, or maybe even March, and I was like, I want to compete. I kind of want to do it this year. He was honest with me. He said, hey, you're in a tough spot, like a little bit too much fat. It's going to be a real dig to get you down to sort of stage condition. Give it a year and you'll go and you'll do well. So I had a bit of faith there. I did have that from some other coaches I reached out to as well, so that was helpful. But having faith and then being patient, like I know I want to do well. Fundamentally, that's why I'm competing, is to win some stuff. So I'm more than happy to be as patient as possible, and I'm working with him for a year. I've sort of just seen how the patience pays dividends. And then, of course, at the end, got some posing in. It was quite cool to pose like with other people. It's a completely different sort of feeling, you know. You when you're in a lineup, and it's something that I'm definitely gonna have to get used to as it gets closer to sort of stage time. But Ed and Drew looked awesome, to be fair. So those two guys, they're doing a lot of the same shows as me, which is awesome. It's a cool thing to sort of share that journey together, and it's awesome that we've met kind of early on in the prep. And I'm sure that we'll get a fair amount of sort of sessions and poses in between now and then stepping on stage in sort of August time. Yeah, and that'll be really cool. There were a fair few sort of posing cues and tips that I took from the session as well, which was only really possible in an in-person session. And it's a lot to do with sort of like feet angles and things like that. I'm sure I'll do a video just on how I improved my posing, just because it's something that was so awful at the start. It's still not great. There's still a long way to go, but I'm definitely happy with sort of where the look is at. I mean, this is at about high end of 75 kilos, which is pretty cool. Means the weight is trickling down nicely. I think we're about 8 kilos in 9 weeks, which is a good steady rate. It was pretty cool to have a session with Finn, and then at the end have Reese come in and give some posing cues as well, as they were two guys that were hugely influential for me at the sort of start of my like bodybuilding journey. Like when I stopped playing rugby, I wasn't really sure what to do, and then you come across people on YouTube, and you sort of learn from them. It was full circle for me. It was a good day. I mean, the only downside was cold meals, but hey, it's one of those things. Cold chicken and rice, cold beef and rice pre-workout, cream of rice, and then finish the day off with oats. I wasn't going to cook chicken and potatoes when I got home, so oats and whey are sort of a decent alternative. It tastes awesome. I just don't like having too much whey within a day. It's just a preference thing, really. But yeah, full day of eating. That, to be honest, doesn't really change much other than the oats meal. You just eat it cold. You suck it up, really. It's not the most exciting food, and it's definitely not the most exciting when it's cold. So yeah, I think that's a good place to stop there. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know down below. Give me a like, subscribe. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.